I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Menlo Park Fire Protection District Board of Directors at 7:07 p.m. on August 15th, 2026. Roll call, please.
Director Bernstein,
Present.
Director Bloom,
Here.
Director Jones,
Here.
Director Solana.
Here.
President Corrales.
Here.
Thank you, we have one.
Thank you, and we can all stand to be part of the allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, moving on to reportable actions from closed session, there were none. And so now I will open it up to public comment for anyone who's on Zoom or in Twitter, to make a comment or state or say anything that he or she wants for items not on the agenda.
We have no hands raised online at this.
Okay, and I'll close public comment and then we'll go to item 1, which is the International Association of Firefighters Local 2400 District 10 report. Thank you for being here, Jim.
Well, so thank you for having me tonight. My name is James Lennon. I've worked for this fire district for 17 years, going on 17 years. I'm a captain paramedic at Station 6. So I was voluntold tonight to make an appearance, so here we are. So good evening, board, chief and command staff. My name is James Lennon. I'm just going to read off this, and if there's questions at the end, I'll do my best to address those. So I want to give an update for what we started last month about local 2400 activities. We have 6 upcoming events, 3 of which we talked about before, 3 are going to be new for you. So the local 2400 is hosting the Fire Ops event on October 3rd from 7 to looks like about 2 o'clock at the Foster City Training Center. I think that's going to be a pretty eye-opening experience for all who can attend. There'll be elected officials and others have the opportunity to come and see what we do. Firefighting, rescue operations, and emergency medical operations. Throw our PPE, auto extrication potentially, and obviously the fun of maybe getting extinguished in fire. It'll be a controlled environment with the support of local 2400 firefighters and paramedics, including members of Menlo Park Fire. And so we hope you can come and participate in some, or all, or just come by and have lunch. On September 12th this year, we're having our pancake breakfast, which we're excited to support the staff and make an amazing event for the community, as we always do. And on September 19th, one of our old business, the Relay for Life is coming back through Burgess Park from 1 to 9 p.m. And that benefits the American Cancer Society, and it's something I've been a part of a couple times. It's really special to see the families who have all their own unique experiences with the American Cancer Society and the Relay for Life.
What date is that?
It is September 19th. So new business. Unfortunately, the local 2400 didn't contact us to see when we were doing our pancake breakfast, but there is the chili cook-off in San Mateo County, which we do every year, and we do our best to win some of our best chefs. We get robbed every year, but we get the People's Choice. That's September 12th.
The same days.
It's the same day as the pancake breakfast. So I look at it as a wonderful Saturday. It's going to be filled. So pancakes and chili.
Yeah, what more can you ask?
Right.
Make it
And
work.
just to remind you that that benefits Muscular Dystrophy Association and the Tunnel of Towers. And this year correlates very closely to September 11th, so it's a special weekend. And just to remind you, these organizations, and especially Tunnel of the Tower, include mortgage-free homes to the fallen or catastrophically injured first responder families with young children from September 11th. And then our 5th new addition is October 31st, the big hit up on the hill. our haunted house at Station 4, which our members worked very hard on and created out of their own goodwill for our community. And it's turned out to be an amazing community event. If you haven't been there, I recommend it. It's a good time. Last year, we estimated we had 1,500 members from the community show up.
Wow.
1,600.
Just about double year before.
Right, so I would imagine this year is gonna be, I would hope it's gonna be better, or more in attendance. And then finally, a program that has been in the works for months, we rolled out in our stations from one of our members, Captain Jeff Hendricks, who does a tremendous amount for our organization. He created what he's calling the in-service program. And in conjunction with Jeff and our association, we support it with our funds from our own union dues. And I'm going to read what he wrote to do its service. So after more than 16 years of participating in rebuilding together, we've recognized an opportunity to evolve our approach and create a program that better reflects the needs of the community and that strengthens our organization. While rebuilding together has provided many rewarding experiences, the traditional model often requires significant fundraising and financial contributions for the projects that did not always allow our members to fully utilize their skills. Through those experiences, we saw an opportunity to develop a more direct, hands-on approach. Our new in-service program allows district members to identify and complete home repair and improvement projects for community members who need assistance. By using the skills, equipment, and teamwork already within our organization, we can make a meaningful impact while keeping our resources focused directly on the people we are serving. This program builds on the spirit of rebuilding together while giving us greater flexibility to respond to the needs of our own community. We have created a hold harmless liability agreement for repairs. And then again, we're using the funds required from our association budget. And to add on to this, it's not on the paper. When we go into homes and see what we see, where we have a small child who had a bicycle accident with a car, this gives us the ability, without having to file a request for reimbursement form, we can go buy the child a new bike and bring it to the family and try to make better a horrible situation. So small things like that could be bigger, but that's the intent of this program, is that we see it and we act on it, try to make a direct impact. And so that is a program we're all very excited about.
Is there a date for this?
Excuse me?
Is it over time, or is there a specific date that you collect and do things?
So we do it on an as-needed basis. The
Okay.
program is up and running. I do know that we're having our first usage of it in East Palo Alto. For I can't speak to exactly what it is, but I know that the crews out there have already exercised this program, and we're pretty excited because we find this is a very it's a great opportunity to have impact at the right when it's needed most.
Is this using on-duty firefighters or people who are off-duty or both?
Well, it's probably a combination of both. We wouldn't be making home repairs on duty, that kind of thing. That would have to be the needs of the district are first, so we would have our support staff, our other members do that. But if we could deliver a bicycle on duty in the fire engine, or a hat, or something we could do and do it quickly, then that would be something we would do, could do.
And just for the board's awareness, this was brought to us by Local 2400 and Jeff Hendricks on, and we were all in alignment on creating a program and helping them create a program that serves many instead of just one family, which is what the Rebuilding Together does. And to allow them a lot of flexibility, again, with reimbursement from union funds, to be able to do whatever it happens to be. Like I said, whether it's a bike, or simple repair, or fix a door lock, or something like that. So yes, it depends on how extensive the work is, Sometimes and even often, it will be on-duty crews that aren't on a call that can go back and visit the home and do something that's really impactful for a family. It's just like, you know, that above and beyond kind of service that we have consistently applied and over the years, and just having financial resources there to actually make some expenditures, relatively small, but still really impactful to those that are in need. We have so many people in our communities.
Yeah, so I was just thinking, how do y'all select who gets the benefit from this?
Well, it's open to all, and it's up to the
You have to
discretion.
prioritize, right?
Well, I think that it's up to the discretion of the company who's involved in whatever incident it is in.
Okay.
There aren't any rules for enrollment, there's nothing, it's just if there's something that we feel is a good thing to do, then we have the ability to do that.
It's really empowering the engine captain to go in there and make a decision, like, hey, we could do this. Let's zip over to Home Depot and get X, Y, or Z, come back, we'll go on calls. If we get called, we're still gonna remain in service. And it's fixed, you know, right then and there. So it's not bad, you know. And again, I don't know that people are asking us to come into their homes, or if it's things we generally just see on our calls that we go on, but I think that's gonna be predominantly when this is going into action, right? I don't think you guys are knocking on doors and asking if they need their lawn mowed.
Right.
Robert?
Is there a common theme that may run through any of the repair work that you do? Like, for example, people door locks or smoke
Yeah.
detectors or things of that nature?
Yeah, common things are definitely door locks, smoke detectors, elderly, need help with handrails, things that aren't too difficult to accomplish, but make a great impact. We've had members in the past build wheelchair accessible ramps, and those members are what I know have helped Jeff come up with this idea and really solidify it to make it something substantial and have longevity. But I think for the most part, there's things we see a lot that are easy to accomplish.
It should be things that don't require a permit or a licensed contractor. Right, so we've given those parameters. I know Nicole and her firm helped us with the whole harmless improvements. So we've got our bases covered here, but I think it's gonna be a really impactful program. Our public is gonna just love it. And we never hear about it, we just know that it will really matter.
Any other questions, Gary, Ron?
That's great. Good.
Anything else? Thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, that was great, thank you.
Item 2, report of the fire chief. Mark.
Good. I should have gone first instead of second.
Cause that's a
Sorry.
tough act to
I
follow,
know,
right?
it's not gonna be as exciting as that program, but members of the board and for anyone that's online and our staff, it's here today, happy to share with you the August Fire Chief's Report, Station 1 update. Not a whole lot going on there. We're still just going through the very slow process from the city of Menlo Park in our CEQA stuff, so still progressing on time. Recruitments and promotions. So interesting thing, I was looking at my last one. The board may or may not be aware that Kristen McDonald is leaving us and moving to the Lone Star State. And I know, she's already got a house and a job, and so we are recruiting for an HR manager. So sad for us, we're happy to have her here for 10 years, great. We have already opened the recruitment, as of yesterday, we had 18 applications, it closed on August 31st, and we are hoping to have somebody on board by, what's our most optimistic date? Sometime in early October? Yeah. Okay, we hope. The IT specialist was on the last one. We now we have interviews in progress. Cadet recruitment is due. This is up and posted on our website. This is for our cadet program. These are for folks that have EMT, have been through a Firefighter One Academy. We hire a lot of our cadets, and so they're going through the hiring process. One of that cadets are required to spend one 24-hour shift a month with us, amongst other things. And that recruitment was September 15th. Busy month for the community engagement unit. Lots of things, must be summertime and people looking for things to do to occupy their kids in their camps, but school youth group visits, Station 1 visited Peninsula School, 77 hosted the Beechwood School Group, Station 6 hosted an international student group from Japan, Station 4 hosted the Champion School Group, this is a summer camp at Las Salinas School, Station 6 hosted Menlo Chinese School Schools. Community events we had our monthly Station 6 Museum open house. We had a Kickstart for Kids event at Joel Davis Park in East Colorado. A surf booth was there, plus a visit to Region 2. San Mateo County Disaster Prep Day. We had a surf booth, drone van, and explorers out of the smoke tunnel. Back to school event at the EPA Center and the Ecumenical Hunger Program in East Colorado. With surf booth and visits from Region 2 and Truck 2. National Health, a lot of activity there. I'll leave that out of my chief's report. I know Director Corrali, Director Jones was out there. I don't know who else was out about, but busy moving around through the district. Great. Ravenswood Health and Resource Fair with a visit for Truck 2. Runnymede Gardens, the senior housing and EPA. They had a community lunch with them. A VA lunch visit from Engine 1 and Squad 401 at the VA hospital. And classes, a CPR class for community members at Rosalie Rendu Center at EPA. CPR and stop bleed classes for resident assistants at Menlo College. CPR class for staff at Joy Culture Foundation in Menlo Park. Stop bleed and CPR classes for community group. CPR classes for Los Angeles school staff. Busier than normal, feels like summer's coming to an end and people are going back to school. Fire response analysis report, nothing looking through there that was particularly unusual or of interest.
Chief,
Yes.
ask a question about that?
Yes.
It seems to me there was actually something that shocked me.
Oh.
On page 5, shows the 12-month thing, and the 90th percentile there is 6 minutes and 50 seconds.
Yes.
If you look then at page 12, it shows that it's
724.
yeah, I mean, that our EMS calls were, I'm sorry, wait a minute. No, what's the all calls one? I'm looking for all calls. That for July, the EMS calls were worse than all calls.
That is, the alcohol types in July at 712 versus 724. Yeah, that is,
Yeah, which is surprising. I mean, usually the emergency calls are faster.
right, and it's true, I mean, that's, outside of the normal, but that's why we smoothed it over a year. And some months, we're gonna have, those calls outside of the that 90th percentile requirement. That's a good point. 724 is higher than we would normally expect. I'll ask Aaron to dig into that and see if there's a reason behind it for the anomaly.
You know, let me ask, we use a vendor to provide this, is that right?
The data comes from us, the vendor puts it together.
Who eliminates the so-called outliers?
No, we don't eliminate any.
Yeah, some of the data says in here that some of the data.
I'll double check. I'm not aware of the vendor pulling anything out or.
Somebody pulls out, and it says that anything that was unusual was excluded.
Okay.
I'm not even criticizing that,
Okay.
but there could be something where
It's
nobody
like,
started it,
if there's just a data error,
And it gives-
something shows 2
Yeah.
hours.
or it takes 0 seconds to go somewhere or something. I just was wondering whether they were reliable and if somebody was looking over their shoulder and so forth.
Yeah, I always double check the work of the vendor because sometimes they're not really good at their quality control. But I'll check with Aaron on how I find out, get back to you. And I'll also check and see if there's any kind of reason behind that. Yeah, on that 724.
Yes.
It's, yeah, not overly concerning, but it's an interesting point. The next item down, San Francisco County Leadership Group Mentoring. Last year I had this on there as a speed mentoring bullet point. I was invited back. This San Diego County Leadership Group at the Belmont EOC last Wednesday. And basically it's people in a variety of city and county roles and positions that are trying to look forward in succession plans, and they come in and they have people that are department heads, fire chiefs, HR managers, and we sit down and do 15-minute, very quick kind of speed mentoring sessions with them. So I sat and chatted over the course of 3 hours with 8 individuals in there, and just really interesting, helping people out as they are beginning their careers and are interested in expanding. They come from everything from management positions to, I had a couple of lead custodians in there that still supervise people and need to know how to navigate, you know, moving from being a kidder with all your friends to being a supervisor. But out of county resources, it's was it busy last couple weeks, as we saw. It really kind of started with the fires up outside of Spokane, and the request came out like 3 days into it through. It's interesting when you have out-of-state requests, it doesn't go through the normal system from Cal OES. Instead, it's a state-to-state request called EMAC. But our requests do come ultimately through Cal OES, and we sent some resources up to Washington. Initially, we sent Chiefs Babcock and Chief Pagoni as strike team leaders on an OES Type 6 engine. That's kind of a small brush engine strike team that went up there. And the next day, we sent out a Type 1 engine strike team from San Mateo County. And that was, from us, was Engine 104, and Chief Werdinger went out as the strike team leader on that. Obviously, that strike team is back along with Chief Werdinger. Chief Pagoni and Chief Babcock are driving back home, and we're rotating up. Chief Martin's going to go up there and be the strike team leader. With the OES equipment, it tends to stay a lot longer, so we rotate personnel. Beyond that, we had a number of single resources out, mostly as line paramedics and line EMTs on a variety of fires in California. And so I think that is it on our activity, but we are, as I always mention, when these resources go out, we get fully reimbursed, and we're always fully staffed here. So we take care of business at home first. Next,
Can I ask one more?
yes, sir.
Have we been sending any resources to Canada?
No. I'm not aware if we ever have in the past. But no.
You've gone international? We've gone international before. No, we haven't. We've trained with them.
We spent a small team to Taiwan,
Taiwan, yeah.
but that wasn't under orders, that was under relationships with the Taiwanese government because we taught them.
Was that related to the task force?
Kind of. It's in a way.
Yeah.
I get it mixed up a little because they come here to train too. Anyway, sorry.
Okay, the next item, I have an update on the workforce housing program, and really what I wanted to do, as has been mentioned to me to do in the past, was to socialize an idea that's going to probably come before the board next month. And what we're finding is that right now we have a policy that the board approved that allows us to house senior staff in the Chilco House. Right now we have Chief McDonald and Chief Coyle living there And we see some additional needs coming. We have that likely with Chief Worthinger's transition out of the task force. We're gonna have one of our BCs that's gonna need to go in there that lives probably far away. And so I'm looking at some opportunities to expand the program. I think we also might someday have that need related to our training captains here. It's always a challenge for us to find people who are willing to raise their hand to move from shift work onto a 40-hour work week that live far away. It's, so what I'm proposing that we do, and this will come up at the next meeting, is look into the options of putting in an ADU over behind the Chilco House. We'll come to the board with some options next month, and to expand the program to include other folks that could have some interest in it. And that would be, right now, it's probably limited to, the BC in charge of the task force, 2 training captains. And we never know with our other staff. Right now, Chief Ellis rents a house that's close by. But you never know. I'm really trying to anticipate future needs and also trying to address some of our succession planning challenges that we'll have in the future. And that's just trying to find, hopefully, internal folks to take care of some of our staff needs, on these, shorter term assignments. So more to come next month. Palo Alto automatic aid update. This is just one of the things, a challenge that came up just this past week. We were chatting with Palo Alto and our CAD vendor on what it would cost to connect our CADs, and we had an idea in mind that was maybe it was $25,000 for Palo Alto, closer to $60,000 for us. We were reminded that that's just to purchase the software. Oftentimes we have to pay the actual CAD vendor for the installation, so that could be significant. I'm trying to get numbers on that, so stand by.
But how would that work if it worked?
What would happen is the 2 CADs, San Mateo County would be able, over at Public Safety Dispatch in Redwood City, would be able to dispatch Palo Alto's engines to our calls directly from our CAD through their CAD, without having to make a phone call, without having to check and see if their engine was available. Our dispatch center and Palo Alto's would both be able to see where our engines were, what their status was, meaning are they on call or are they available? And then based on our automatic aid agreement, be able to directly dispatch the resources to the closest.
And no approval would be needed or anything like that?
No, we would set it up through an automatic aid. So we would set up the parameters in advance as to what we would allow, how many we would allow, how far, all those things would be addressed in advance. But we're just trying to fix the technology piece that's keeping us from doing that right now. So
I
that's
think
all
there's a
that would happen.
desire for both sides.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Both sides are very interested
Especially
in
there.
getting
Especially there.
Yeah, Director Crawley and I had a meeting. I'm sure she'll chat about it a little bit more with the East Palo Alto City Manager and Mayor last Tuesday, just to chat about a joint meeting, and I'll let Director Crawley chat a little bit about that more later. National Night Out, I had already talked about. Board elections, I just put this on there just to acknowledge that our 3 board members that were up for election decided to join us for 4 more years. Congratulations, they're running unopposed, and the best part is,
They're
second
not
part,
running.
the best part is that they're gonna join us for 4 years. The second best part is that should save us $180,000 and not having to pay for our share of election costs. So thank you to the 3 of you for saving us. You guys get each take credit for $60,000. But I think that
I owe you.
the reality is if just one had chosen not to, it would have cost us the full one. It's not actually prorated. Thank you for the joint effort. Just to chat a little bit about the outstanding staff reports, I just chatted with Gage about scheduling an informational session with the board meeting for item number 1, which is related to traffic calming and fire code, et cetera. So I'm checking with his schedule, and I'll work with Director Crawley on setting that up. And then the last one on the list, the impact fees presentation. I was just chatting with Dimitri, the principal with Richland Group, and he will join us by Zoom at next board meeting at 7 o'clock. Short presentation, it will be in your packets, and then really just him being available to answer questions. You know, as we had that conversation at the last board meeting, lots of questions about the process, how it will work, et cetera, but that will happen at September's board meeting. 3 incidents to chat about. I had one. The big one that I think everybody saw on the news was the structure fire in Foster City. It was a 6-alarm fire. Really significant mutual aid draw, automatic aid draw. Interesting, since its location was up there, it didn't suck many resources from us. We sent 1 engine and one battalion chief, and initially during the 6 alarms, that was engine 3 of DC 101. Later, we sent truck 4 to swap out for one of the trucks that had been there for a dozen hours, so for relief. Tom responded up there. We asked them if they could use our UAS help, and Tom's available. We sent our UAS up there. We also use our 102 out to help with some structural stability issues. And Heather and Amandeep went out there to do some firefighter rehab too with our CERT folks, which was great. And then I know also just to share that we moved, I think, 1 engine up into Redwood City to provide some coverage. Right, so same thing, because that's usually what happens is the closest resources are going and it leaves big gaps in other agencies. So very similar to what happened to us during the 2700 Middlefield fire. So that was a big event for the county. We also had
Redwood City also, I think they cover San Carlos. My understanding is a lot of the southern part of the county, south of Foster City, you covered a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
we also had a structure fire on the 2300 block of Oakwood Drive in East Palo Alto on August 2nd. And then just recently we had structure fire in the 400 block of 7th Avenue in North Bear Oaks. Interesting thing on that one, just because of its location, engine 11 was the first engine on scene, which happens on those border fires occasionally, and the engine 5 was second. So that is it for my fire chief report.
Any questions or comments? I have a quick question, Mark, with the, East Palo Alto fire, is that number 8 or number 9 year to date? Because the last time we talked about it, it's like numbers.
I'll get you a count, but it might even be higher than that, yeah.
Okay, I think from what you've given in terms of the reports, might be 8 or 9, but it could be higher.
Yeah, I'll check.
Year to date, because this number now exceeds all of 2025 for residential fires, I think, in East Palo Alto. Yes, that was. Any other questions or comments? Okay, thanks, Chief. We'll move on to our consent calendar. Anyone want to pull
I
anything?
move to accept, make a motion to accept.
And moved by Director Solano to approve the consent calendar. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Director Bloom. Any discussion, any public comment? Won't see any. Chuck?
I'm sorry, I'm slow to say this, but I had wanted to poll because I have some questions about and make sure which number it is. Number 5, the treasurer's report.
Okay, let's just pull out the treasurer's report and then we'll, you want to move your motion, Rob, to approve all items except for 5.
Great.
Okay, and then Gary, would you like to amend your second?
Sure.
Okay, so roll call please for the motion to approve the consent calendars items 3, 4, and 6.
Director Westing,
Aye.
Director Bloom,
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director Solano.
Aye.
President Crowley.
Aye. So that motion carries. So Chuck, you wanted to pull out treasurer's report, item 5.
Yes, I wanted to look at, trying to find an appendix or attachment E. Yeah, it is.
What page, so?
I'll tell you momentarily, so I can just, I had a number of questions, but it starts on page 559.
And this is, we started doing this reporting in, this is our second time doing it, right? Yeah. So
Are you?
it's our travel and training and conference reimbursements. So and just to refresh the board's memory, we came across something that said that we were required to report this to the board quarterly, so this is our second report, and it looks like it is covering from the beginning of the year to June.
Yeah, basically.
We might have to get
first half
back
of
to
the
you
year.
with whatever your questions are on specific items. Right.
Well, let me say, I'm surprised, but apparently, because it was mushed in here with all these huge number of pages of our investments and so forth, I missed it the first time, it was a surprise to me. But I bought it this time, and this is more policy stuff, and I'm just trying to refresh my recollection of what's going on here. I'm not disagreeing with this, I'm only asking because it jumped out at me. Almost all of these items here are for things that relate directly to the fire district and so forth, seminars and things like that. But on page 559, there's something about, for example, American history. It's the third item from the bottom. But again, I'm not trying to say that I don't agree with this, I'm just trying to understand.
Happy to offer clarity. Mixed in with this is also people's educational reimbursements. So correct me if I'm not right. So people are pursuing their bachelor's degrees and we reimburse a portion of that based on their educational reimbursement allowance. So part of that is an American history class they're probably taking in the pursuit of their BA, and they've submitted for reimbursement for their tuition. So it looks a little strange, but that's the, and there's a couple of those. I also look through this with interest, like, but there's a number of them in there.
Right.
You'll find our college courses that are, the core curriculum for a bachelor's degree or an AS degree if they're pursuing that.
Well, actually, once I saw one, then I was surprised there weren't more of them, actually, so it wasn't that there was something wrong with it, but it just jumped out at me. So, and it seems like in this case, the same person that is getting $1,738 or something, it seems like a regular amount. But in the middle of that same page, the person's taking 2 fire courses, then down at the bottom of that page, third from the bottom, I see American history.
Right.
Can you just remind me what we're doing in terms of reimbursement for PAs and so forth?
I'm trying to remember if the tuition reimbursement is higher or different than the education, the regular.
So there's 2 parts on that. It's
2,000.
$2,000 and another $2,000.
Just so to explain to you that every employee has a basic tuition or educational reimbursement of $2,000. And then also in the last contract, we approved an additional $2,000 for higher education. So if somebody's pursuing an AA or a BA or even a master's degree, they're eligible for an additional $2,000. But it doesn't come close to covering their full tuition for the year. And then also if you look
Is
at
this a percentage of that, or we cover 100% but only a few courses?
we cover 100% up to $2,000 in that fiscal year.
I see.
Yeah, and then the classes on here could be for a couple different people, right? So these don't identify the person that's taking them. Like there's a psychology course here and political and legal things.
The first one that caught my eye is on the top of page. Well, it's 2 pages further than this. There's an art and psychology
Yeah.
again. I actually agree with doing that. It's not that I don't support it, but it just jumped out at me and I wanted to remember what was involved here.
That's, yeah.
I think the indicator of it is the tuition fees. So they're all noted as tuition fees. It means the tuition reimbursement versus going to a conference or going to a seminar or going to a class.
I did have a question on one though, and that was on page 562. 562, and it's about just below halfway down. I wondered what extreme owner leadership was.
That's great. That's a great question. I actually went to that conference. It's a conference by a gentleman by the name of Jocko Willett. And it's something that we have sent our chief officer to. That it's run by a bunch of retired Navy SEALs that just talk about your responsibility. If something's going on at work, you trying to figure out how you were responsible for it and taking ownership. So that's the very that's the Cliff Notes version and even shorter. But it's a conference. It's really one. That's really good, solid conference. But that's what it is.
Okay,
He's written a book called Extreme Ownership. So
it didn't sound like a regular college course. It didn't sound like a fire course, and I was just wondering.
It's a leadership course, and interestingly enough, I went with a number of members of our executive staff, somewhat skeptical of what this was going to be about, and it was people from. I was really pleasantly surprised to see that maybe 4% of the total population there was fire. But it was people from businesses all over the country that were sending their managers and staff there to learn a little bit about how to be a good leader and what that looks like. And so that's what it is. Extreme Ownership is, you can find it on Amazon. It's an interesting book and an interesting read for that. It's a 3-day conference.
Well, again, bringing up, it's not to say that there's something wrong with it, I just wanted to know more, so with that, I'll move to approve this, the treasurer's report, yeah.
So moved by Director Bernstein, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded by Director Solano. Any discussion? Anyone on Zoom?
We have no public comment.
Okay, perfect, then roll call please.
Director Bernstein,
Aye.
Director Bloom,
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director Solano.
Aye.
President McCollum.
Aye, so that motion carries, and we'll move on to the regular agenda. Item 7, which is to adopt a resolution authorizing fire chief to enter into an agreement with NorCal Trailers for the purchase of 4 trailers in an amount not to exceed $140,000. So does John want to?
Word sure, I will just tee it up by saying we brought this to the finance committee last month. They reviewed it. And we move forward for approval with the board. Chief Worker will share a little bit about this, and I also asked him to add some additional commentary on purpose and uses of the trailers for us. Over to you, Chief.
So, if you go back to the consent calendar, I think it was item 5 or 6, it spoke to 10 vehicles being surplus. 9 of those vehicles are being replaced. Some of them has already been voted on by the fire board, such as the airboat and the airboat trailer. One of them is not. It's a travel trailer that we're just not going to replace. These 4 trailers that we're purchasing, one is going to replace a 1989 International knuckle boom, and that's where we house all of our special operations equipment on. So we're replacing almost a 40-year-old piece of apparatus with a brand new 24-foot trailer. The second one is a 1996 Wells Fargo water rescue trailer. So that's, again, 30 years old in that range. And we're going to replace it with the 18-foot water rescue trailer. I think it's, the next one is a 20-foot training trailer, which is a 2000 training trailer. We're going to replace that with a 18-foot, I think it's called technical rescue training, I think is on that list. It's basically where we're going to house all of our rope operations. And then the last trailer we're going to be purchasing is for our lumber truck. So we have a 2003 Freightliner that we're getting rid of. It houses a bunch of lumber for a down or collapsed structure. And again, if you remember the CARB compliance stuff, that's a 2003, so it's long due to be replaced according to the state of California. And we're replacing that with a 24-foot trailer. And I think that's entitled lumber trailer. And yes, just back and forth on my little phone, but that's the lumber trailer.
Just a quick comment, if anyone's sitting there wondering how do we replace a lumber truck with a lumber trailer? So over time in history, we've acquired some of these things through donations, because somebody wanted it. I think it was the lumber truck somewhere in the county. The knuckle boom also, it's a federal access for how we got it. Some of these things, as it comes time to replace the item, is it trying to decide whether or not it's appropriate or necessary for us to have a lumber truck. We know in some circumstances that we might need a lot of lumber to do shoring, but we don't necessarily need the full Home Depot lumber truck to transport it when we can hook it up to a proper tow vehicle and get it out to the site. So that's why we're not replacing the knuckle boom or the lumber truck, but we're trying to carry the equipment that we might need, and we've got a number of tow vehicles who we can transport. So that's a little bit of the making of the sausage that we use the process to. Sometimes we make decisions and we don't automatically replace the item if it's not a necessary thing. Just because we got it for free, and a great deal then, it doesn't mean we necessarily. I don't know if there's more questions for Chief Wordinger or not on this item.
Well, to get the discussion started, I'll entertain a motion to authorize the fire chief to purchase the 4 trailers from Norcom Trailers in an amount not to exceed $140,000.
So moved.
Moved by Director Solano. Is there a second?
I'll second. Oh, go ahead.
Seconded by Director Jones. So any discussion on the board?
I would just comment, I think it's super responsible to reevaluate them at the time. Moving away from a truck that has high maintenance to a trailer makes a whole lot of sense. So applaud the thinking.
Any public comment? No.
We have no
Okay.
public
Well,
comments.
do you have roll call, please?
Director Bernstein?
Aye.
Director Bloom?
Aye.
Director Jones?
Aye.
Director Solano?
Aye.
President Crowell?
Aye. So that motion carries. Thank you, Chief Wordinger. Thank you, thank you. Okay, and we'll move on to item 8, which is to adopt.
Ripping up out there.
You brought a quiet car. It has no blower.
Who started fire?
To adopt a resolution authorizing the fire chief to execute a professional services agreement with I Bailey LLP for financial audit services for a 4-year term covering fiscal year 2027 to 2030 in an amount not to exceed $216,000 with an option to extend for an additional 2 years. So Owen, you want to put this off?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So for this recommendation, this was also discussed in the finance committee meeting. So just a little bit of background. So our current contract right now with our auditor actually covers only up to fiscal year 25-26, which is the current year or the prior fiscal year, which most of the work is going to be this fiscal year. So that's the last fiscal year covered for the current agreement. So what we agreed with the finance committee meeting is, of course, we wanted to demonstrate due diligence for sure, rather than renewing the contract again. We wanted to make sure that we are transparent. So we actually issued an RFP for financial audit services because we wanted to see if we're still receiving a competitive, level of service and amount for what we're paying as well. So we released an RFP I think last May 19, and I think we opened it for about a month. With that, we received we received 7 proposals from qualified accounting firms. We evaluated the proposals. So the process with the evaluation is there's 4 categories or criteria with the evaluation. I think you can see it on page 576 or page 2 of the actual staff report. So we have 4 evaluation criteria. So price is not really the only consideration for the professional audit services, which is very typical because we don't really just want to rely on the price. We want a good quality service. we wanted, resources, we wanted to, incorporate all of this, factors into the evaluation process. So that's why, we price it was not really, the determination or the qualifying factor basically to hire an auditor. So based on the initial evaluation, we invited the top three candidates, for an interview. So following that evaluation process, we determined that, iBailey provides the best overall value to the district. So some of the factors or significant factors, with that decision, I think they're all laid out in the staff report. I think it's on page 576 and 577. So I'd just like to mention a couple of things or just touch, into a couple of things here on why we decided on choosing, iBailey as our auditors for fiscal year 27 to 2030. First one is, they're actually the biggest firm out of all the 7 proposals. So they're a national firm. They're actually in top 20 nationwide, but at the same time, they have actually a local presence in Menlo Park. So they're local, so their office is literally just right across the street from our admin building. But aside from that, they have a depth of technical expertise. So given that they're a national firm, there's vast resources from any technical concerns or matters. I think one example that I can give up is when we got the grand jury report for internal controls, we were able to act quickly because they actually have resources for literally anything under the sun that's related to accounting. So I think that's one of the factors that made us decide that hey, this is going to be beneficial for the district because anything we need, they're just like one call away. Of course, if it's gonna be a separate engagement, we're gonna have a separate discussion on that, and maybe determine if we're having another contract. But just the technical advice and that resource, I think that's really gonna be beneficial for the district. And then lastly, I know there's a lot of factors in there, but the last thing that I'd like to mention is the continuity. There are incumbent auditors, but again, we just don't want to renew it just because we're satisfied with their work, which we are. We're very happy with the current work that they're doing right now. But also on top of that, we wanted continuity, right? We wanted an approach wherein there's going to be a least disruption in our operations. But at the same time, even though there's continuity with the current engagement structure or staff, there's always going to be a new perspective, fresh perspective, because there's going to be partner rotation. So we're going to have a different partner starting fiscal year 2027, at least for 1 year. We're going to have a different partner. That's going to bring a new perspective to the district. So it's not just really going to be status quo. There's going to be a new partner looking to the engagement, making sure the audit quality is being done. If there are anything that's not covered but not addressed, or there's anything that was missed, that's always going to be part of the partner's responsibility, just to make sure that everything's in line with audit standards. So overall, we're recommending iBailey based on their firm's strong record of delivering high quality, timely audit services, extensive governmental auditing expertise, and a combination of national resources and local support. The firm's familiarity with our operations right now, their audit approach, which is driven by technology as well, their year-round technical support and proactive communication as well. Help and ensure that we would have an audit that's gonna be efficient moving forward. So that's all for this, unless we have questions from you.
Well, before the discussion started, is there a motion to approve this contract with iBailey not to exceed $216,000 for auditing service for fiscal years 27 through 30? Moved by Director Solana. Is there a second?
Second.
And seconded by Director Jones. Did you say?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I'll open it up for discussion and question. Chuck?
I support this and so forth, but I think they've done a good job it was interesting to see, Maze was our old, firm, wasn't it, before then?
It's actually the fun group. They did not actually propose or submitted any proposal.
Who was it?
The fun PUN group.
Oh, that's right.
The phone group, and even before then, before the phone group, I think Mays and Associates may have been. That was before, way before your time.
So this is a substantive question, the other is a curious question. The substantive question is, I didn't understand what the value of the option is. It seems like the price is to be determined later, so I don't know, what do we get with the options?
Yes, so for technically when we are actually doing contracts with audit firms, the typical time frame is within 3 to 5 years, and there's always an option to renew. So basically, that option to renew is more so for administrative purposes, because we would still have that continuity, but at the same time, it reduces the administrative burden for another RFP within a short period of time. So the price, of course, it's not set. So it's still going to be negotiation afterwards, and it's very typical that we do things like this. So really, the benefit is the continuity with the process for the contract in itself.
But if we didn't have an option, couldn't we do this exact same thing?
We can. If we don't, let's say if we don't have an option to renew, let's say we're done like for 4 years, then we can do another RFP for the succeeding years eventually. Because again, I think the option to renew is if we're happy with them, if we're happy with them, if their services satisfactory, and we wanted to retain them for another 2 years, there's no need for us to go for another round of RFP. So I'm really just trying to time the 6 years time frame. Because again, it's typical 3, 5, 6 years, for an actual, contract. So we don't want to get stuck with, just the full 6 years. Because of course, we still want to test, are we still getting the services that we need? Are they still, of quality? Like, so I think, 4 years is a reasonable amount of time before we actually decide whether or not we're going to renew it for another 2 years.
Well, I applaud you for getting doing the RFP and checking it. I think that was the right thing to do. Usually it holds the line on pricing, or there's some benefit to an option, but here it seemed like it had no benefit one way or the other. You could just say, hey, you want to be here for another 2 years, and they'd say yes. And
Yeah, but it benefits us too, because then it's like we have the option to not continue with them,
Sure,
right?
okay.
So.
Yeah, the other question I was just curious if there was some reason when you read these proposals, was there something in the Negro and Negro proposal here that of how they could be $100,000 less than anybody? Is there something they're not doing or something they're skipping? It can't be their rates are different.
Yeah, the thing with audit is, of course, they follow all the same standards. It's very similar, right? The proposals, the standards are similar, I would say, but the presentation and how they deliver it, the approach is gonna vary, per firm. So with Negro and Negro, of course, they're number one on the price, right? $144,000, right? But I'm not quite sure, why it's some sort of an outlier, because if you see all the 7 firms proposing, they're all in the same range, 100, 200K almost, and then this is really an outlier. So this is a surprise, actually, because I think most of the firms, I mentioned this at the finance meeting as well, and most of the firms actually asked me about our current price, for 25-26, what's our current contract price. And one of them actually didn't ask about it, but they still come up with the same range, under $200,000. So I couldn't really answer the question about why it's $144,000 lower. Maybe they're just more cost efficient. I'm not sure, but that's really their proposal.
But you rated them fairly highly. I just thought maybe there was some step they weren't doing, or there was some procedure that they skipped or something. But
No, they rated highly because again, it's because of the price, mostly. the other factors like, the firm in itself, the experience of the firm, the experience of the staff. No, I mean, I'm not saying they're not experienced, they all are. It just, varies into, the actual approach, what we need, what we're looking for. So they just, score high in that particular areas. But yeah, so $144,000, I kind of figured that that's gonna be a question because we wanted to be, transparent and show, the prices, although they did not really, get the contract, it's interesting to see really, that, for like a 4-year period, they're just, asking for 144.
Do you have?
Their ranking certainly could get helped by the price
Their
being
price.
25,
Yeah,
the winner
well,
of 25% of it.
Right.
So it's math a little bit.
Do you happen to recall where they're located?
I think they have an office in SoCal,
Oh, okay.
but I think they have an office here as well. I think there's 2 locations. So.
Okay, thank you, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take time, I just,
No, thank
it
you.
was such an odd thing, but.
Okay, any other questions? Any public comment?
We
Okay.
have no hands raised.
Do we have a motion and a second? Can we do a roll call, please?
Director Bernstein?
Aye.
Director Bloom?
Aye.
Director Jones?
Aye.
Director Solano?
Aye.
President Crowley?
Aye. Thank you, Elaine. Thank you, Mr. the Finance Committee. Item 9, which is to adopt a resolution amending the conflict of interest code. Jim and or Francine, after Francine, taking it off, right?
Yeah, so this is something that we do every 2 years, if we review the code for any changes for district classification positions or any code changes. And for this change, there was a change in the requirements, and Nicole's going to explain how that affects, where basically we're moving some people from our designated list into another list, and that would be the board of directors and Elaine as the treasurer.
So this change is really just to align with a recent change in the law, SB 852, which provides that officials who manage public investments need to file their Form 700s with the FPPC directly, rather than through a different code filing body such as the district. So this was really a change to try and fix what the legislature saw as an unintended gap in an earlier bill, attempting to kind of get this same issue addressed. So it's really more about aligning with where these officials need to file their Form 700s. It's an administrative change. It's not a substantive change in terms of any individuals, filing requirements, disclosure requirements, anything else along those lines. But because the timing lines up with our every 2-year review, we're folding it in now, and this will be how things look in terms of the filing obligations going forward.
So,
So can I just get a motion to get the discussion started to amend the conflict of interest code?
So moved.
Moved by Director Solano, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Director Bloom, discussion, so Robert, you had a comment or question?
just clarification. In the past, for me, it's been very helpful. Francine generally kind of used to just say, hey, you gotta do this by a certain time. And we sit and wait, or I wait for a period of time, and then I file it online. Is that process still gonna take place? Or do we have to initiate that ourselves?
You should still get a notification from the FPPC saying, here's
Directly.
your filing obligations, here's the deadline, here's the link. It's just not gonna be through the same. So I assume you all are using NetFile or something like
Right,
that for
right.
county.
Basically.
But we're all used to, so this is gonna be a slightly different platform through the FPPC. The FPPC had been reaching out with these recent changes, the last change and this one, trying to find out from agencies, well, who are the filers who we need to be in touch with. So the idea should be that they are basically aligning and kind of rolling this out. But my understanding is, from a practical perspective, the process should be very similar. It's just a different filing location.
So at some point, I assume the district could probably get that information.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a new software platform then, or a new website?
I think that's
So
right.
different-
The FPPC
different-
uses a different
platform.
Different clicks, in other words. Lovely.
Organization.
It's
And
in-
it's a state, so the FPPC is the statewide organization versus the local district.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, but, I mean, I got a zillion things input in there, and all I have to say is yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
right.
All that has to be input again?
I'm not sure if they can carry over from your previous Form 700s. That is, I mean, yes, that is the wonderful thing about where you're being able to carry over the same input. I don't know the answer as to whether or not their system will allow that.
Oh.
I can suspect that efficiency for the filer was not part of the decision.
You figure it out and have it ready.
Right, right.
You went to the
But-
SCC
Yeah,
and
and
you're
it's,
the
and
developer.
it's kept over, it's captured all of the
Yes.
previous information, yeah.
But it captured your previous FPCA, not your net file.
Right.
We're changing systems.
No, but I filed through that PPC and that file, because I have to file like 4 or 5 of these. So they go to the one thing, I think I go to that. I think, I better double check here, and I'll let you know. Right.
Like I said, the efficiency of the filer was probably not a
Was not-
consideration.
and exactly. So we know, so this will just update our conflict of interest.
And if we voted no, we would still have to file under.
You would.
There's a motion
I
to
think
vote
you're right.
yes.
There's no choice.
Well, the law changed. It said you have to file through them instead of through net file, so. We're just reflecting the new law and the conflict of interest policy,
Right,
not a discretionary.
Option thing.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, any other questions, any public comment? Okay, there's a motion and a second, can we do a roll call, please?
Director Bernstein?
Aye.
Director Bloom?
Aye.
Director Jones?
Aye.
Director Solana? Director Crowley?
Aye, so that motion carries, we'll move on to proposed agenda item 10. Discuss Haven House's emergency access gates. Rob, I think you want to place this on a future agenda.
Well, that's the reason why I wanted to bring it back, was because of the building gates that they proposed in that emergency egress for our fire truck. And, I would like to, as we did about a year and a half ago, revisit the Sheridan Drive bypass with a second egress that goes to the Van Buren, with the considerations of no slowdown to the project now that's in question, no cost to the school district or the developer. And there's an issue with San Mateo County where they're providing $9 million for the project with an additional egress there. So I think we need to revisit it and provide a recommendation to the city of Menlo Park. This was started back in 2022. It really were fully ventured by the city. The city basically just settled for the one entrance or exit. And if you go down there, you can see that it actually runs into Van Buren. There's a project over at Jefferson City School District. Caltrans provided them with the property for no cost. And I think this may be a precedent. I've contacted Assembly Member Berman and State Senator Becker. And they were releasing Caltrans call to find out if that also fall into the same perimeters as it did with Jefferson City School District, where they didn't charge the school district any money for the additional parcel.
Jefferson, which one was in there, one in the old city?
Right, they would say,
So Jefferson Union High School District?
yeah.
Okay.
Jefferson City.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think with our recommendation to make it a safer project there and not causing a slowdown
providing funding so that they don't lose their county funding that they were initially promised also. That I think we need to revisit it and discuss it and see if we had talked about last meeting about providing a project with our fire district in order to provide the communities that we serve with funding. Or maybe we continue with the city of Menlo Park in order to put that additional egress in there, make it safer for not only people that are going to be future residents, but people also that are in the surrounding communities. That's why I want to do that.
Any questions, discussion?
I guess my only question is, has anything really changed? They had agreed to have a secondary emergency access gate out the back. It's my understanding that's still the plan for the project.
Well,
So
yeah,
I'm unclear what the fire safety issue is, if the emergency gate is still proposed as part of the project and it's meeting the fire code.
well, two egresses are better than one. Okay, it all goes into that one Sheridan Drive, narrow street. And the way it's set up in Buren, it would be more safety feasible in order to have two entrances and exits. And the way it's set up there, it's not gonna slow the project down, because the project isn't being done. And there could be a funding stoppage because they don't have the second entrance or exit that was promised by the county. So, and also, in this election that they have in Menlo Park, the three individuals that are running for, one that's running for District 2, and the other two that are running for District 4, approved that, agree that a second entrance and exit is more feasible.
Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion is outside of the fire code necessity, if they're meeting the fire code, that's our responsibility, and us dabbling in what the design prospects are for the complex is out of the scope of the fire district.
Well,
So that's my opinion.
Yeah. You make a good point, Gary, but, you know, are we doing minimums relative to the fire code? Or we want to make it safe enough where it can be effectively evacuated by having two entrances and exits that just have one?
So when you talk to,
Talked about
Senator Becker and Assembly Member Berman, you were probably talking to them as president?
I was talking to them as the person within the area.
Okay, not as.
Well, they know I'm a fire.
No, I know, but you were
Yeah.
calling them on that,
I originally did that.
which way?
I contacted them, okay, and spoke to them relative to myself being a citizen.
That's what I thought, okay,
So,
Robert's, yeah.
so one of the point of clarification. So we're talking about, Robert, you mentioned that this code, I'm not familiar with it. Is it maximizing the fire exit? I mean, if there's a fire or something take place,
It'll be a separate exit.
separate exit
There'll
from,
be one there that's controlled by these double gates.
Right.
That'll be used by the fire truck.
right,
But there'll be an additional one that goes through VM Buren. So there'll be one at Sheridan Drive, and then there'll be one at VM Buren. So there'll be two actual egresses for the complex. And then there'll still remain the agreement that was made for an emergency like fire truck. So they'll still have that exit for the fire truck, and then they'll have an actual two egresses for Sheridan and for Van Buren,
and
if it goes through the Caltrain.
so the city already approved one, is that the case? And so what you're saying is that for maximum fire exit, that we should have two? Or the new law or some law is telling us we need to have two?
For additional safety, to have two complete egresses. They have two complete egresses. One on Sheridan and then one Van Buren, and then have the additional emergency one for the fire truck that is on the gates.
So our obligation is currently on the, whatever procedure law we're working on, is only the one, what we are obligated to approve or not
The
approve.
minimum is one.
Okay.
You know, by the fire code.
The standard, the fire code.
The minimum fire code, but, you know, we've got evacuation there, it's 88 apartments. I don't know, 160 something people, you've got vehicles there. And with the additional entrance or exit, it just makes it safer.
Have anybody, it's kind of a wild question, have anybody actually talked to the developer about where you go?
The developer in front of the planning commission had stated that he didn't have an issue with putting two in, but because of the minimum fire code, he did one.
So he didn't have a problem?
He did the minimum fire code.
Okay. I think the pressure, I don't want to get political here, but you know, that's where neighborhood pressure with the city council to get that second one, it's pretty much, you know, to make that happen, because I don't see how our, as a fire district, our comments, we may say it, that we recommend this, but we gotta have a rationale for recommending it for the most part. If one it has been proven our obligation. So the pressure need to really come from the citizens to the city council to make that change.
Well, it would be the city council that we make the final decision, but as a fire district, we can make a recommendation to make that project safer by having two egresses, and then additionally having an emergency exit or egress for our fire equipment. So whoever's in that community there will have two egresses while emergency equipment's going into one. Because, you know, just using that one emergency egress, okay, there should be an evacuation route also for those people. You know, so that's what I'm just saying that, and it would be a recommendation by us. And like I said, you know, project's already been started, so it's not gonna slow the project down. And it's not gonna be an additional cost to not only the developer, but to the actual project itself, if we make the recommendation, and it could hinge on the funding relative that the county wanted to give them an additional funds because they requested two egresses there.
I don't think we're supposed to be discussing the merits of the proposed agenda item. What we should be discussing is whether we should put this on the agenda for a second time and have another discussion on it. That's the proposed agenda item is to reopen the discussion of 18 months ago.
Yeah, so I agree, but do you just?
All right, I'd like to make it.
Wait, so Chuck want to say anything?
No, I just want to say what Gary said.
Okay.
We should be talking about.
Yeah.
Rob,
So-
you're gonna at the meeting, you would make a recommendation.
No, he's
He's
asking
asking.
for a motion right now to be put on the agenda, and so
So you want to make the motion so we can discuss it, because I do have something to say about whether or not this should be on the agenda, on a future agenda at this time. So if you want to make a motion, go ahead, and then and someone can second it or not. It's up to everyone else.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion to revisit the Sheridan Drive project involving a second egress involving Van Buren.
Well, that's not, so the proposed item is to discuss Haven House's emergency access gates.
Well,
That's what
that was not my original last meeting. I spoke about that, and the reason why I wanted to discuss it, I put it on the agenda was because of the double gates. But my motion is the actual project itself.
I know, but
And
that's
to have
not the,
dual.
that's not on the
That was
agenda.
just us listening back to the whole conversation. What Director Solano said, it was included in that.
Okay,
That was our summary, so.
okay. Okay, is there?
But that was the intent.
Okay, so is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
So I'll open it, we kind of discussed it, so I will just say my piece really quickly. So, I don't know when you would put this on there, but I hesitate to do anything right now that could affect the outcome of an election in that area, because I think, I don't remember the district numbers, but I know the Belhaven area has an election coming up that's contested. The Willows, I think where you live, has an election coming up that's contested. And then there's, the one in downtown, I'm sorry, I don't remember the district, yeah. And that's a focus, even though that's a focus on, downtown, this issue might come up. And I just think that if we were to do anything right now, it would affect it. It's kind of like being on a grand jury, right? Where it's like, you want to let the other process take its natural course and not interfere with this. So maybe at another time, but because right now we're approaching election season with a lot of contentious issues that the candidates have to talk about for the city of Menlo Park, for their council. So that's the only.
As to putting this on the agenda, okay. The Caltrans decision either to provide that Greenbelt parcel at no cost is.
Well,
there's
I
no
know,
decision
but
made yet.
dealing with this, I know, but
And that's still part of the
this will be
discussion.
this, from what I hear, that this is a campaign issue. Or at least the candidates on the east side of Middlefield Road. So that's the only reason why that I don't think this is the right time to even do this, so. That's my piece right there.
Is this a proposed agenda item?
No, this is to put it on the agenda for a staff report to be done.
So it's still a proposed agenda item? I'm just saying.
No, the proposed agenda item is here to say that whether or not we should move this forward to another agenda. So what I'm saying is I don't want to put anything that might affect to interfere or affect the outcome of this current city council election. And I feel very strongly about that right now.
I hear what you're saying, but I think, I'm not sure if our role is to kind of worry about the political aspect versus the merit of the request.
We can,
And so what let me finish.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that if we move it forward, it's still gonna be left up to the chief to kind of pull this together, whatever information that he needs to pull together to try to give us more input or information about making rational decisions, even move forward with the document. That may take it to this time next year, I don't know. But it can impact future projects like this.
right,
But I don't see where we're saying to put it on a fast track to make a decision on it.
I would just remind the board that we already discussed this and
Right.
closed it out 18 months ago.
Yeah.
So this is simply a revisit, a discussion we've already had.
But wasn't the Oxford, and I don't want to discuss. That's why I
Well, I
want to put
just-
it on the agenda
I
because
just brought it up
there were a
because
lot
the
of
timing of
decisions
it right now.
that were made cognizant of what the city of Menlo Park came up with.
Is there a motion on the table?
Yes,
Can I call for the vote?
well, yeah, you want to call for
Yeah.
okay, so then
Call for
we'll
vote.
call for the vote by Director Glenn. We can vote on the calling of the public. So can we just do a roll call for calling the vote?
Director Bernstein,
All right,
Director Bloom.
Aye.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director Solana,
I,
President Crowell.
Aye, so now the motion is whether or not we want to put this item on a future agenda. So let's do a roll call.
Director Bernstein,
I,
Director Bloom,
Nay.
Director Jones,
Aye.
Director Solana,
I,
President Crowell.
Nay with this because of the timing. So that motion carries. Okay, so we could do this after the election.
Just, I don't know, besides time sensitive or not, but.
yeah, besides, I need more information from Caltrans.
Okay, so why
It's
not,
still-
since
still
the
need-
board voted to do this,
Why don't you look at the, I just asked that it doesn't it looks like that we're interfering with the city council business right now, so.
Now you're discussing the thing.
Yeah.
See,
Yeah, I'm
Move
not
on.
being quite, no, I'm trying to say.
We're on item 11.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah,
I don't
okay,
know.
so you'll work, yeah,
We'll
okay,
work out that.
item 11,
We'll
you
work on
agenda,
it,
you proposed agenda items. Any new proposed agenda items? Okay,
Oh,
Chuck?
no, I don't.
Okay, reports and requests, committee reports, emergency preparedness, and facilities.
Facilities did meet and we discussed the ADU concept for the Chilco House and went through that with the chief and staff.
Okay. HR did not.
Can you give us a little idea of, are you for it or against it or what?
That's what we brought it forth.
I think the fact that we brought it forth suggests that we're open-minded to the proposal the chief has and that the full board should consider validity, makes sense to do it through an ADU. We talked about the difference between remodeling the house versus putting a separate ADU, both from a cost perspective as well as the amount of time it would take to build it. And ADUs are the fast track approach at a lower cost to add additional housing.
What is the estimated cost?
It was about 600,000, I think, if I recall. It was
450 to
yeah,
500.
450, 500. It was to do a prefab ADU unit, possibly built offsite.
The kind that they bring it in, drop it
They
in.
bring it and drop it in, so it'd be a much faster, implementation time.
And would that enhance the value of the property itself?
Yeah.
And just so far, just that one property, not any other stations.
Yeah, we only talked
Just a
about,
house.
we talked about two concepts. One is the program working? It was a trial program. Is the program working? And does it make sense to potentially expand the program? Program's working, it's achieved its goal, and it makes sense to expand it based on the reasons the chief mentioned, which was staffing. And so the facilities committee was in agreement with that, in agreement with the general path forward to do it. So that's why it is being brought forward by the facilities committee.
And remember.
If we didn't think it was a good idea, we wouldn't be bringing it forward.
And this idea started way back, I mean, when I first got on the board almost 8 years ago.
Well, not with ADUs, but workforce housing as a concept.
Workforce housing, ADU was still around then,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
we hadn't gotten to that point yet.
Yeah, that's good.
But-
What happens is the rules and regulations
Are
for
changing.
ADUs have allowed that to be a faster,
Right.
lower friction path to add additional housing.
And how many people would the ADU accommodate?
What is it gonna be, 2-bedroom, chief?
Yeah, that's what's in Mark's report.
2-bedroom,
It's in
1
Mark's
bath.
report.
Okay, finance? We took care of the finance committee tonight.
Finance committee, everything that we brought forward and discussed was approved by the board today.
Okay, item
Did I miss
13.
anything on that?
No, you
Okay.
did a good job.
Thank you, Gary and Robert, for working on the financial pieces and the facilities piece. Liaison reports, item 13, Town of Atherton.
I was unable to attend the meeting. I did attend the night out event at Watkins Park. Extremely well attended. Oddly, it started at 6 o'clock and we got there about 5 to 6 and there was no remaining parking left in the facility.
Whoa.
So it had already
3:30.
before it started, the parking had filled up, which is a good, last year we came about 30 minutes after it started and got parking right away. So.
Okay, East Palo Alto.
I didn't attend the meeting, but I was online for a little bit and the city of East Palo Alto is undergoing ask for this upcoming election, asking residents to kick in $140 million for a new city hall and police station. Stay tuned for that one.
Yay.
Perfect timing.
City of Menlo Park, I don't really have anything to report. County of San Mateo.
G Road.
I don't think this one's in it, you know. I'll say this though, because I got the invitation for the VLF funding press conference. They're still trying to get the money from the state, from the vehicle license fee. So I'll keep everyone updated because our 3 cities will be affected as will the county. The vehicle license fee, there's,
Is it 35 million now?
I think it's like 56 or something crazy.
Well, for our cities within our.
Oh, I don't know. I have
You mean
to.
the losses,
Yeah, so that the state's flying back over the vehicle license fees for San Mateo County, and so, the local, like, the elected, I don't know how I got onto my county's website, probably or email, but I'm on there, and so they had another press conference, which I unfortunately couldn't go to, but I heard about it, and they're trying to advocate to get the monies back at the county level back to the county so that the cities don't have to feel this loss, because the loss is maybe 32 million for the 3 cities. Something like that. Yeah. Were you there?
Based on the press reports, I did reach out to Elaine and just asked them the question as to whether there's an impact to the district, and the short answer is, to our revenues, there is not. We never participated in that program as a special district.
I think
So we're not directly affected.
No, but
It's the potential of the cities that we serve would be affected.
I thought it was going to affect us because it affects the school districts and there'll then be less ERAF money returned to us.
Yeah, his response to me was that it would not affect our revenues.
It's really gonna affect the cities more than anything right now. So, I mean, there might be some ancillary fallouts, but I don't. But I just wanted to put that out there, that that's the county's trying to bring back those advocates. The ambulance JPA. Is there a meeting on the horizon at all?
Well, they do. They do quarterly. Mention that they're going to cancel that. Probably.
Yeah. Okay, the Creek JP, I don't have an update, but what I am gonna do is probably go to their next meeting, just to hear what they're doing in terms of preparedness for the winter.
Isn't San Jose,
That's
water,
Valley
that
Water.
they want to take over?
Oh, God, how
They're
No,
responsible.
they wanna take, I don't know if it's the Creek JPA or another,
Well, they want to take over the maintenance.
something, so I'll get more of an
Yeah,
update
well,
from
they want to take
Margaret.
over the maintenance. Not the JPA, but the maintenance.
Right,
Yeah.
Okay, reports of,
Has anybody reported about Bruce leaving and so forth?
is Margaret leaving? I didn't even know that.
Oh, yeah, she was
was
on.
Oh my God, okay, well, no, I
Yeah,
clearly
Wow.
Yeah,
didn't know that,
Yeah,
but I will
she-
talk to the chair of that. Wow,
As she left, they're trying to hire a replacement now, and,
clearly
There's an
I'm,
interim that took over.
well, it's somebody from within
From
the
within.
organization, yeah, just moved up. And she just said she couldn't take it anymore, essentially.
okay, well, I'll find out, I'll go to the next meeting and
Serious.
I'll let you know, I'll give an update next month.
We've all felt that on occasion.
Yeah.
I mean,
What time it gets that way?
because I live near there, when people talk about it all the time, the big bumble is, I didn't know about water, Valley Water.
Yeah, I heard about
San Jose.
But that's a
Yeah.
totally
That's
corrupt
something
organization, and they're talking, they channelize everything they can with concrete. And they're talking now about putting walls up on the creek again and so forth,
I know,
so.
but Valley
Director
Water.
Bernstein, I recommend you buy a new shovel.
Yeah.
But anyway, Valley Water has an election this
Stick it
country,
down in
so
there.
that's what I'm saying, let's wait until, anyway, yeah. Okay, reports of directors, Robert.
I have no report.
Bearden?
Nothing to report.
I just have one thing that and it sounds like a complaint, but I'm not really complaining. I just feel like, first of all, I'm thrilled by how well our investments are doing. But the amount of paper that we get in the board report that supports that, I wish there was an alternative to that. In other words, we could just have like the summary of the yields, the page 3 or whatever it is. I know, it's in there. I'm just saying, but just have the page 3 and have all the supporting stuff on the website or something. So we didn't have to duplicate all the paper that's in here.
We might be able to do some, I would love to move this to electronic. Yeah, at some point down in the future, we could do a hybrid, potentially in the meantime, but
We can do.
we'll talk with our lovely new clerk of the board, Shannon, for some great ideas.
But I mean, honestly, Chuck, I think part of this was for your benefit too, when we first started doing this, so if you're willing to move to electronic, I'm happy to top level, top line information in here, and if you wanna look at the supporting documents online, that's great.
Well, I can say, I might wanna look at them, but all the pages, I'm glad we have this, we're doing really well. But the summary pages are what I look at, and I think if we could
I
get it
know.
down to maybe 10 pages, that would be enough.
Through the chair.
Yes, Robert.
I remember when I first got on the board and that first year, we were sitting around a room like this, everybody's here. And it was absolute, when it came to finance, I don't know if Elaine was here at the time, but that the poor treasurers kind of got raked over the coals over the numbers and lack of information. And that went on for a couple of years. And then all of a sudden, we started getting these reports. And as a result, you know, it's so like now we want to digress back to a single page. I think it's really, we need to kind of come together and kind of figure out what do we really want, codify that, and that's the process and the procedure. Because, you know, if Chuck leaves, somebody else may want to come in there and blow this thing up to 20 pages or 100 pages again. So I think we need to kind of, I forget, we should probably put this on the agenda to talk about.
Yeah, I agree with what you said, Robert, so anyway, if y'all wanna, Chief, if you wanna work on how we can streamline the paper or the report, that'd be great, okay, Rob?
I have, I've said it.
I just talked about the thickness of this, but other.
Okay, okay, I have a quick president's report, Nash, I went to National Night Out and actually, Atherton, East Palo Alto, and Menlo Park, I went back to one at the Duck Pond, I went to Atherton for a little bit, and then to Joel Davis Park for a little bit, and then to Sharon Park, Menlo Park. Let's see, is the chief said we had a meeting, a joint meeting with the mayor of East Palo Alto, Webster Lincoln, and the city manager, Melvin King. Webster Lincoln. His name? Webster Lincoln. Lincoln Web, sorry, oh my God, okay, sorry.
That's okay, two last names.
Yeah, so we had a joint meeting and so they're interested in doing something, but what they wanted to do is they're gonna appoint an ad hoc committee to look at this and then we're gonna appoint an ad hoc committee to look at this to see, you know, if there's any, just to see what the issues are, and then if we have a joint meeting, which I think we're probably gonna want to be able to say, okay, we're gonna be, these are the things that we're looking at and we're addressing. So, I was gonna appoint Gary to be one of the members of the ad hoc, but is there anyone else? I don't have to do it, but is there anyone else who wants to be on this ad hoc for East Palo Alto?
What's gonna do here, just to.
Big topic.
Talk about the topics of mutual interest, like there's the water thing that Lincoln parking, the double parking, what was it, the narrowness of the streets, you know, all of those things, residential fires, water topic, I'm missing anything.
Traffic
Traffic calming devices.
Unpermitted residential.
Yeah, parking,
Don't they have a bond measure too for City Hall or something,
but
Robert?
that's different.
It's different, they do
That's
have a
different.
bond,
For the police department.
yeah.
So anyway, right now I've got Gary on there. I'm happy to be on there too, but if anyone else wants to, then that's fine. Otherwise, I'll appoint Gary and me for now. Mark, okay, so there's that, and then on July 23rd,
I went to Station 6 with former Menlo Park Mayor and Councilmember Kat Carlton. She was hosting some Japanese students from the Menlo Park sister city of Busan, Japan. And they had a great time, and I want to give a special shout out to the crew there. Captain Joe Wallace and engineers Garrett Meyer and Dan Rivera. I want to welcome Shin. I think this is her first meeting as our board clerk, so welcome, Shin. And I told Shin, Mark, just to let you know that CSDA has training for secretaries, board secretaries and clerks. So if she wants to do that, I think that would be a good thing to do. Yeah. Congratulations to Gary, Chuck, and Robert. We're so glad that y'all are on here and that you're saving district money too. So congratulations. And I just want to say thank you to our firefighters in the Foster City Fire. I saw the truck 4 crew at a dinner, or when I was at dinner, and they were picking up dinner, and they looked exhausted. They were covering the entire southern area of San Mateo County. So Mike's office, if you can just let them know everything that are, not just them, but all of them, you know, that we are very appreciative of that. And that is all, and if there's nothing else, I'll adjourn the meeting at 8:48. Thank you.